uh, complete our discussion of Surah Al-Fatiha. We started a few weeks ago. Uh, Surah Al-Fatiha is, as we mentioned before, that it is the first surah of the Qur'an, but it is not the first of revelation. So you have surahs in the order of the Qur'an, and the surah according to chronological order, the order of the history, how the revelation came to the Prophet ﷺ. So first one, as you all know, is the one, the ayat from Surah Al-Alaq. Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. Those are the ayat, five ayat that were revealed. And then after that, so this is one of the early surahs of the Quran, and it is known as Al-Fatiha, but it has other names as well. One of the names that is very often mentioned is called Sab'ul Masani, seven oft repeated ones. Allah says in the Quran, وَلَقَدْ آتَيْنَاكَ سَبْعًا مِنَ الْمَثَانِ وَالْقُرْآنَ الْعَظِيمِ. We gave you seven oft repeated one, and we gave you the Quran. So seven oft repeated, interpreted are those of Surah Al-Fatiha, seven ayat of Surah Al-Fatiha. It is also known as Al-Asas, the foundation of the Quran. It is called Al-Quran, the quintessence of the Quran, the mother of the Quran, mother in the sense of the essence of the Quran. It is also known as Ash-Shifa, the book of the surah of healing. It says reading is a healing for the heart and the mind, as well as physical healing of the Quran. وَنُنَزِّلُ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ مَا هُوَ شِفَاءٌ وَرَحْمَةٌ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Allah mentioned that we reveal from the Quran that which is shifa, which is the healing, and rahmah, and blessing and mercy. So, and this surah is very important to be recited in every rak'ah of the salat. The Prophet said, "La salata liman lam yaqra bi Fatihatil Kitab." Salat is not valid for someone who does not recite Surah Al-Fatiha. So it has to be recited in every rak'ah. Whether you are praying fourth prayer, sunnah prayer, nafil prayer, any prayer, in every rak'ah, Surah Al-Fatiha must be recited. Otherwise, prayer is not valid. You have to, you have to repeat the prayer. And the only difference among the scholars is whether if you are praying behind the imam, should you recite Surah Al-Fatiha or not recite? Imam Abu Hanifa says that if you are behind the imam, you don't recite, because the imam is reciting on your behalf. And if you are praying by yourself, you do that. Others say even there you recite, but recite either before, either immediately after the imam finishes Surah Al-Fatiha, or while the imam is reciting one ayah, you recite. And this way you do that. So anyway, these are some of the issues related to Surah Al-Fatiha. And then Surah Al-Fatiha is the dua as well as an introduction of the Quran. It is a dua. You're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, give me. Ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim, sirat al-ladhina amta alayhim. But dua has a method. First you praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you ask. You don't just open the mouth, give me, but first you have to say something. Yeah? You say, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Maliki Yawmiddin, Iyaka na'budu, Iyaka. So you praise Him, you show your loyalty to Him, and then you say, Ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim. After that you ask whatever you ask. This is the adab of dua. And any dua is better to do that way. So it is a dua, but also it is an introduction to the Quran. Quran is the book of guidance, and so you in this and there are three very important subjects of the Quran. One is that there is only one God, Tawheed. The second thing, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent many prophets for the guidance of humanity, and Prophet Muhammad is the last prophet of Allah, so that's called Risala. And the third one is Akhirah. There is the day of judgment. So this life should be lived with a responsible way. And because whatever you do, Allah knows, and everything is recorded, and on the day of judgment, the judgment is going to take place. So that will be the day of test and the day of hisab. Everybody is going to give the account of his or her life. And then after that, with Jannah, or may Allah save us from the hell fire. So these are the basic points that are mentioned here in this surah. So it starts with Basmala. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Bismillah is part of this surah or not part of this surah? Again, you have some opinion on that. Most of the scholars say it is not part of the surah, but it is to separate one surah from the other. And that's why many people, when they recite loudly in the salat, they don't recite Surah Bismillah. They start with Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. But some scholars say, no, Bismillah is part of this surah. And they count it as ayah number 1. So Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Bismillah is beautiful ayah. And Bismillah means with the name of Allah or in the name of Allah. That means you are starting everything in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is, you are aware of that this is something right, it is something halal, it is something correct, that you are doing it. With the name of Allah, that we are seeking the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Basmala, Ba is for Ma'iyya or Ba is for Ibtida, for something to begin with. So Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allah is the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim are the Asma al-Sifat. These are the Asma, the names that attribute the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is the most merciful, as I mentioned last time. Ar-Rahman means the one whose mercy is plenty, lot of mercy. Ar-Rahim, one whose mercy is permanent, always merciful. Lot of mercy and always merciful. It is not like sometimes, sometimes we feel very generous and we give, but then after that we don't. Somebody comes and you ask you and say, all right, I'll give you. But then next time he'll come and say, I gave you already. Don't give that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you pray to him, ask him today, tomorrow, day after tomorrow, every day. He likes that. As it is said, the others, if you ask them too much, they get angry. If you don't ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he get angry. He wants you to ask him, pray to him, pray him. Ud'uni astajib lakum. Call upon me, I'll give you. So you pray to him, or to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, because this is his nature. He is Ar-Rahim, constantly, continuously, permanently merciful. And Rahmah is a very beautiful attribute of Allah. Rahmah comes from the word Rahm. Rahm is the womb. And the womb of the mother is a symbol of what? Love, protection, care, kindness. Mother's love is considered as the highest manifestation of the divine love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's love is there, and mother's love is that way. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has it's mentioned in one of the hadiths, I gave to Rahim my name. Allah's name is Rahim, and from this he gave the name Rahm to that. For Ar-Rahmu shajanatu min ar-Rahman. And that's why he said that all your people who are connected with the womb, take care of them. Your family members, your kith and kin, connect with them. Even qata'ahu qata'ani. Woman wasalahu wasalani. The one who takes care of Rahim, I will take care of him. And the one who breaks the relationship of the Rahim, I will break him. That means it's very important that you take care of your mother as well as your blood relatives especially. All relatives, but especially blood relatives. So Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. So Allah is Allah. I begin in the name of Allah, and the most merciful, the compassionate. And it is good to begin anything that you do with this Bismillah. Every important matter, if it does not begin with Bismillah, it loses the value, it loses the blessing. كل أمر ذي بال لم يبدأ فيه بسم الله فهو أخدج. The hadith of the Prophet says, any important matter that begins without Bismillah, it is deprived of barakah. It's deprived of blessings. So Bismillah is good. We should start always with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim and say it. And then after that, it begins with Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Praise be to Allah, the Lord of the worlds. Now praise, last time I mentioned that, Hamd has two meanings. One is Sana, praise, the other is Shukr. So Sometimes there are people whom you praise, but they have not done anything to you, so you don't give thanks. But you just praise. A good player, a good athlete, a sportsman, somebody, you praise, oh wow. But what is it? You don't seem that. Thank him for playing it so nice because what is this? This it's not related to you. So you appreciate that. So you praise a good building, but you don't thank a good building. So praising is one thing. But then you thank. Somebody gives you something, you thank him. But if somebody gives you something, okay, you thank him. Somebody opened the door for you, you say thank you. Somebody gives you something, thank you. But maybe that person is not that good, so you don't praise him. I mean, you simply thank him because he did that to you, but you not praise him. But there is one Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and of course there are other people as well, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is absolutely that He is most praiseworthy and the one who deserves all the thanks. So that's why you say Alhamdu. Alhamdu. I'm not saying that I am praising Him or we are praising Him. We're not saying Ahmadu or Nahmadu, but saying Alhamdu. So all hamd belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Every hamd belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Absolute hamd belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whether we praise Him or not, He is praiseworthy. Huh? Because He deserves all the praise. So alhamd in that sense. Lillahi Rabbil Alameen. And that belongs to Allah. Allah is the one who deserves all the praise. And then you say Rabbul Alameen, the Lord of the worlds. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the sustainer, provider, protector, giver, and of course the master. Rabb has all these meanings. The Christians and Jews use the word Ab, father. Muslims don't use that. Muslims say Rabb. So there's slight difference, huh? Alif or Ra. Ab or Rabb. But we don't say Ab. We say God the Father. But Jewish people say that, Christian people say that. Islam says because these Ab creates some kind of confusion in the mind. People may think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a male or a female, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is like a human being. So anthropomorphic. Anthropomorphic means look like human. So Allah is beyond that. So that's why this term is not mentioned, because it has given some confusion to people. And people started talking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, na'udhu billahi, Father, and then started talking about God is the Son also. So Christians started saying that God the Father, God the Son. So Islam says, use the word Rabb, the Lord, the provider, the giver, the sustainer. And Al-Alameen, Al-Alameen, as you know, is the plural of Alam. Alam is the world. And here the word is Alameen, all the world. Every kind of world. World of human, world of jinn, world that we see, world that we don't see, world that is now and the world that is going to be in the future, world here and the hereafter, all of this. He is the Lord for everything. And this whole universe, I mean, we don't know exactly the planets that are there, the stars that are there. Some people say as many stars, as many planets as the specks of sands on this earth. So many. This vast universe is taking care of everything. Our earth is a very small, tiny little thing in comparison to the whole universe, galaxy of this that is there. He is the Lord of everything. He is the protector of everyone. He is the one who takes care of everyone. So Rabbul Alameen. And that is, it's a very Islamic understanding that we don't say Rabb of my family, Rabb of Muslims, Rabb of Arabs, Rabb of this and Rabb of that. He is the Lord of everyone, of course. But Rabbul Alameen is emphasized here. And again, you have Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, as we mentioned before. The third thing is mentioned is Malik Yawmiddin, master of the day of judgment. It has been recited both ways, Malik or Malik. Some people read as Malik and some people read it as Malik. Your name is Malik? Oh, mashallah, good. Okay. So Malik Yawmiddin, Malik means master and Malik means king. Malik Yawmiddin. So both ways it's been recited. If it is king, of course, that means he's sovereign. Malik is owner of everything, master, owner of everything. So Yawmuddin is the day of judgment. Ad-Din has three meanings. Ad-Din means deen, religion. Lakum deenukum waliya deen. For you, your religion, for me, my religion. So deen means religion. And deen means also law. Sharia is deen. ما كان ليأخذ أخاه في دين الملك in Surah Yusuf. Yusuf alayhi salam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, he could not have taken his brother according to the law of the king of Egypt. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him a new way of understanding that Israelite people, they themselves mentioned that. So, مَا كَانَ لِيَأْخُذَ أَخَاهُ فِي دِينِ الْمَلِكِ, according to the law of the king. And the deen means of jaza. Yawmuddin. Yawmuddin is the day of jaza. Yawmuddin is the day of judgment. So, Malik Yawmuddin, he is the master of the day of judgment. That means on the day of judgment, there is no one who can prevail over Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is no one who say, this is the decision. All the decision belong to Allah. Limanil mulkul yawm. On the day of judgment it will be said, to whom the kingdom belongs? Mulk. To whom it belongs? Lillahi al-wahid al-qahhar. To Allah alone, the one, the most powerful. And the one and the most powerful. Lillahi al-wahid al-qahhar. So that's why it's very important to know that no prophet, no peer, no shaykh, no wali, nobody come and help you on the day of judgment against the will of Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may allow some people to give shafa'ah, but only as much as Allah allows them. And for whom and as much as Allah allows and to whom. So who can make the shafa'ah? In the hand of Allah. How much he can make shafa'ah? In the hand of Allah. For whom he can make shafa'ah? In the hand of Allah. All of this is in the hand of Allah. So there is nobody who has absolute power of shafa'ah. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam will have shafa'ah, of course. He will make the shafa'ah. Lahu shafa'atul kubra. He will have the greatest shafa'ah, but not as his right, but all as an honor for him. Allah will honor him with that. Man zal ladhi yashfa'u indahu illa bi'iznih. In in Ayatul Kursi you receive that. Who can make shafa'ah in his presence except by his permission? So shafa'ah is by the permission of Allah. Shafa'ah means recommendation, speaking on behalf of somebody. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Malik Yawmiddin. He is the master of the day of judgment. After mentioning that, these three, then you say, Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. A beautiful hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, Allah says in the hadith of Qudsi, the Prophet ﷺ said, I have divided Fatiha between me and my servant. When my servant says, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Allah says, Hamadani Abdi. My servant praised me. When he says, Rahman Rahim, Allah says, Asna alayya Abdi. Oh, Hamadani Abdi, my servant thanked me, and then he says, Asna alayya Abdi, my servant praised me. And when he says, Malik Yawmiddin, Allah says, Majjadani Abdi. और फिर रिवायत से फव्वदा इलैया अब्दी. वैसे मालिक यौमिद्दीन, master of the day, Allah says, my servant glorified me. My servant put everything in my hand. Everything belonged to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So after you mention that, then you say, Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. And your help we seek. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Hada bayni wa bayna abdi. This is between me and my servant. Wali abdi masal. Because he says, Iyyaka na'bud, so it's for Allah. Iyyaka nasta'in, I seek your help, so it's for me. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, all right, so this ayah is, I divided between me and my servant. The venue when I have this between me and my servant, and I will give to my servant whatever he asks. So you say, I worship you and I seek your help. I said, thank you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, good, that you worship me. And the other is, you are seeking my help. Iyaka na'budu, Imam Ibn Taymiyyah rahmahullah said beautifully, he said, Iyaka na'budu is against Riya. And Iyaka nasta'in is against Kibriya. When you say Iyaka na'bud, you are sincere. You're making ikhlas. I worship none except you, O Allah. So you express. So you are not showing off to anybody. This is between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Iyaka na'bud. You worship. And then you say Iyaka nasta'in. I don't have anything. So you have no arrogance. You have no thing that I can do that. I can do that. La. No kibriya. How can you have kibriya before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Because He is the one who gives you the strength. He is the one who gives you all the resources. He gave you life. So you seek His help. So one is Riya. Riya is show off. The other is Kibriya. Kibriya is arrogance, showing that I'm too big. I'm great. That's why it's important to seek, oh Allah, without your help I cannot do anything. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Nobody can move. Nobody have any strength except by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. So this is very, very beautiful. That's why some of the ulama say, all the books of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala summarized in the Qur'an. Torah, Injil, Zabur, all the books Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala read. Qur'an is the summary of everything. And summary of the Qur'an is Surah Al-Fatiha. And summary of the Surah Al-Fatiha is Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. The Qur'an, it summarizes, it puts everything together. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. So you we worship, and as you can see that here, Iyaka na'budu. Now grammatically, you can say na'buduka wa nasta'inuka. As you say in dua qunut, Allahumma inna nasta'inuka wa nastaghfiruka wa nu'minu bika wa natawakkalu alayka. So you can say that. Ka you can use after na'budu. Na'buduka wa nasta'inuka. But why you are saying Iyaka? So ka is brought before. And either because the harf, the letter, cannot stand by itself, so you add the word Iya. So Iyaka. And this ka is brought before for emphasis. Only you we worship. That means worship, we worship you, but no, not only that, but only you we worship. Nobody we worship except you. And that's true. In Islam, you are not allowed to worship anyone except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa iyyaka nasta'in, and it is through you we seek all the help. That means, yes, I can take help, but it is, the reality is that whatever help comes, it comes through you. I understand that. Nobody can help me without your will. So that's why my seeking of the help is through you, wallah. After you mention that, then you say, Ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim. Guide us into the straight path. Ihdina, hidayah. Hidayah means ad-dalalatu bil-lutf. That you tell the person, this is the way to go. But it is not only showing the path, it is also taking me to the path. One is that somebody asks you where choose the way to Los Angeles, you say, go this way, take this route, go. The other say, I can take you. I can follow me. I'll help you. And sometimes you need that. Otherwise, sometimes you will say, maybe I still lost. I'll not reach that way. So say that's why. So this life is so complicated, so complex, so many difficulties. I don't know how to go into all these things. I need that you hold my hand and take me, Allah. So that's what Ihdina means. Allah, lead us unto the straight path. Guide us unto the straight path. That may be with me, support me, and help me. And as-sirat al-mustaqim is the straight path. That means there are all kind of confusions and difficulties, which this way, that way. The Prophet said there is a straight path, and then there are other paths in between. And every side there is shaitan standing there and inviting you, come this way, come this way. But you all follow that way. So deen is a straight path. And it is a path that is straight, and it is the path of being straight as well. That means you yourself follow sincerely in the right way. And life is a path. Life is the movement. This is the way how you move. So Sirat is mentioned in the Qur'an, and also the other words that we use in Islam for path. Sharia is a path. Tariqa is a path. So path is, and this was also used before. The Jewish people, you call the law of Judaism halakha. Halakha means the way of walking. So it is the path. Torah is the way of walking. It's a movement. So that's why life has to be lived in such a way. It's a way of life. Sirat al-Mustaqim is the way of life. The way of life that is straight and that is good. And then you say, Sirat al-Ladina an'amta alayhim. What kind of path? The path of those whom you favored. The path of those whom you had in'am. Now, in'am is the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمَا بِكُم مِّن نِعْمَةٍ فَمِنَ اللَّهِ. Whatever is the ni'mah is you from Allah. So we are asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah's ni'mah is many. If you want to count the ni'mah of Allah, وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا. If you count the ni'mah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you cannot calculate. Allah's ni'mah is everywhere. And there are people who have the ni'mah, but they don't give thanks to Allah. And there are people who have ni'mah, but they don't use it in the right way. And we also have the ni'mah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what does it mean? Sirat al-Ladina an'amta alayhim. I'm not asking Allah to just give me ni'mah. I'm not asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give me wealth and health and power and this and that. No. I'm asking the way of those who had help, who had ni'mah. Sirat al-Ladina an'amta alayhim. The way of those who received the ni'mah. So it is the way of the blessed people. Not just blessing, but the way of the blessed people. So that I live the way of that way of life. And who are those? In the Qur'an, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned, الَّذِينَ أَنْعَمَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِمْ مِنَ النَّبِيِّينَ وَالصِّدِّيقِينَ وَالشُّهَدَاءِ وَالصَّالِحِينَ. So those who receive the ni'mah of Allah, these are prophets of Allah. These are the truthful and the righteous people. These are the martyrs. These are the way. So I'm asking Allah to show me the way of those who really receive the blessings and favor. So it is a path of people. Lot of people who walk that path. And who are the example, who are the role models? I ask that. Sirat al-Ladina an'amta alayhim. And then you further explain that. غَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا الضَّالِّينَ. غَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا الضَّالِّينَ. مَغْضُوب عَلَيْهِمْ is those who receive the anger upon them. غَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ. It is the sigha here is the sigha of passive voice is used. It is not said that غَيْرِ الَّذِينَ غَضِبْتَ عَلَيْهِمْ. Not the way of an'amta, you favor them. Here it says مَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ, those who receive the anger. So it is important to understand that. Beautiful way of saying that. It's not mentioned that you had anger on them, but those who received the anger. That means their way of life was not good. So they incurred anger. The anger came upon them. Of course, Allah's anger. But as the adab, you don't say you get angry with them. You're saying they received the anger. They incurred the anger. They deserve the anger. So that's what they say. غَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ. That's why sometimes people translate that, not the way of those upon whom you were angry. That's not what the Qur'an says. It's not a correct translation. Not the way of those upon whom you were angry. No, Allah did not say that. The translation is not the way of those who incurred the anger upon them, who received the anger, whose portion was anger. And then you say, وَلَا الضَّالِّينَ, and not those who went astray. Dhal, somebody lost the way. Doesn't know. Dhal have different ways. If somebody has lost the way, going to some destination, did not find a way, is also dhal. Somebody is looking for the right way, so it's dhal. But at the same time, dhal is in the sense of somebody who's absolutely lost and don't follow. And some of our ulama say, Maghdub are those who know the truth and they don't follow it. Dhal are those who do not know the truth and don't look for it. Somebody doesn't know, is lost, but he's not asking anybody, show me, and not asking guidance. So are there people that way? Some people know, but they don't follow. And that's terrible, that you know what is right and you don't do it. That's why we say, Allahumma arina al-haqqa haqqan warzuqna ittiba'a. Oh Allah, show us the truth as truth and help us to follow it. Because sometimes people know the truth, but they don't follow it. So show us the truth as truth. And show us the batil, وَأَنَّ الْبَاطِلَ بَاطِلًا وَارْزُقْنَا اجْتِنَابَهُ. And show us the falsehood as falsehood and keep us away from it. So it is very good, it is very important to know the truth. But only knowing is not enough. Sometimes somebody is alim, but he acts like a jahil, acts like an ignorant person. So it is know and have the will to do that. So that is, otherwise, knowing and not doing it, that brings the anger of Allah. And then the other thing is, if you don't know, ask. If something is not, you are not aware of, ask somebody. إنما الشفاء والعي السؤال. If somebody is unaware of something, seek knowledge. Ask the ulama, ask the scholars, ask the other people who can help you. So otherwise, you will remain lost, and you will not get the way. So this is this beautiful surah that give us. These are some of the points that reflection that I had it. So here are 10 points, lessons of the surah. Number 1, the essence of faith is thankfulness to Allah. Iman comes from thanks, or this is the attitude of the faithful person. The faithful person is a thankful person. The gratitude is part of Iman. And that's why in the Qur'an, shukr and Iman are mentioned like synonymous. That's why the opposite of shukr is kufr. So shukr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Iman. Second thing is, Allah is the Lord and sustainer of the whole universe. Only Allah is the Lord and sustainer. Rabbul Alameen. Number 3, Allah is very kind, loving and merciful. So this is the point emphasized again and again in the Quran. Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. And then Allah is the judge. And He does not tolerate injustice, evil and sin. So Malik Yawmiddin should give a sense, yes, He's very nice, very kind, very merciful. But doesn't mean that now you can do whatever you want. He'll not do that. He only is there to give you the candy. No, He's also a judge. He's a master. He knows. Injustice, no, don't do that. Sin, don't do that. Allah is merciful, kind, but at the same time, غَافِرُ الذَّنْبِ وَقَابِلُ التَّوْبِ شَدِيدُ الْعِقَابِ ذِي الطَّوْلِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who forgives the sins and He accepts the tawbah, but He's severe in punishment. And He's very powerful. So all of these points bring balance in life. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not tolerate injustice, evil and sin. And the the day of judgment will come, because He's master of the day of judgment. So that definitely the day of judgment will be there. Worship should be only for Allah. And all prayerful requests should be directed to Him alone. When you pray asking for something, pray to Allah only. So prayer for seeking, Allah give me this, ask Allah. Don't go to a grave, don't go to a saint and say, give me, oh Sahib, help me. Fulan Sahib, help me. No, only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Speak to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And one should continuously seek Allah's guidance and remain on the path of truth and righteousness. Always. That's why you say, Iyyaka na'bud wa iyyaka nasta'in. I continuously seek that. I worship you, I remind myself I worship you, and I only seek your help. And true righteousness, ihdina sirat al-mustaqim, yes, and then true righteousness comes when we follow the example of those who were righteous and who were under Allah's grace, prophets, messengers, pious and devoted people of Allah. So righteousness is sirat al-lazina an'amta alayh. And one should always be careful not to make the most merciful angry with him. Allah is very loving, very kind. But don't make him angry. That is Ghadab al-Halim. Halim, very forbearing, very patient. But don't make him angry. Because if a Halim person gets angry, it's terrible. So, ittaqu ghadab al-Halim. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is merciful, but be careful not to make him angry. One should never ignore the path of guidance and should always be careful not to go astray. So we don't want to go astray. We try to remain on the right path and stay. These are some beautiful lessons that we learn from this. There's the second part that I wanted to see very quickly. I'll go on that, although it needs a lot of details. That is some kind of structural analysis of the surah. You know, this surah has 3 ayat that are in the nominal sense, nominal, jumla ismiya. In Arabic, 2 types of verbs, 2 types of sentences. Sentence that is based on noun, and the sentence that is based on verb. So one is called jumla ismiya, and the other is called jumla fi'liya. So you see that this surah has the first 3 ayat are ismiya, that they start with the noun, Alhamd, Ar-Rahman, Malik, all of these things. So these are ismiya. And then you have 3 that are fi'liya. إياك نعبد إياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. So you have number 4 is a kind of a double facet, that you have إياك نعبد and إياك نستعين. And then you have, ism gives you permanence and fi'l gives you temporality, becoming. So one is being, the other is becoming. One is belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so you say Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. And so there's being, there's permanence. And then when you talk about yourself, you are going through different times. So temporality is there. And here you find that throughout this part 1, the first 3 ayat, they are reflections on the universe, praise of the Creator. In the second part, you have response to reflection, desire to action. The response to reflection is what? إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. And then desire for action, اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. And also you are using plural in this إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. We worship you and show us. So that means you are not talking about one individual, you are talking about your community as well. So that's why when you do that in your salat, everybody is together. And then you have part one is how Allah relates to the world. Rabbul Alameen, Malik Yawmiddin. Part two, how is human being? Ibadah, seeking guidance. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is there, and that you have a human being. And then you have initiative and response. From Allah is the initiative that He provides, mercy, love, all of this. Your response from the human being, worship, follow His command. So you both find that. If Allah's initiative, your response. And then you have privilege and responsibility. Privilege is granted by Allah. And responsibility is that you must be a response. If Allah has given you that, you should be. If Allah is the one, praise Him, and you say He's the giver, and He's the Malik of the... What is your response? Worship. Obedience. So you have a response. And then you have this world and the hereafter. That is, you are speaking about what Allah has granted in this world. Rabbul Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, and how this will affect the other world. So you have that, how this is affecting the other world. That is, Iyaka na'budu wa Iyaka nasta'in, Malik Yawmiddin, all of these things you have there. So this, and the verse 4 is a connection between the two. Iyaka na'budu wa Iyaka nasta'in. And then you have individual and society. In the part one, individual who's making praise and giving thanks. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Malik Yawmiddin. And then society. Iyaka na'budu wa Iyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim. So mercy man remembers that he is a member of society. Shows commitment as collectivity. Seeks guidance and salvation as collectivity. Yeah. So these are some points you can see that as a kind of back and forth, the surah. At one time there is one thing, individual, there is a community, there is this world and the hereafter, privilege, responsibility. You can see that. All of this kind of going on in this short surah. It's a miracle of the Qur'an. That's why the Prophet said that nobody was given in the Torah and the Injil and all the previous prophets a surah like this. It's a great surah. And it requires a lot of reflection, a lot of thinking. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us so that we use this surah with thinking and we should recite it carefully. Every time you recite the surah, think about what is going on. What is going on? Okay, we'll take some questions, inshallah. Fadl.
So, in the Day of Judgment, it's a very long time period, and Allah will be upset for thousands of years. What will happen to the good believers, good people who followed Allah's path during the whole process when Allah was going to be very mad?
People who have who follow, that means they live the life of Iman and do the good deeds. Their reward is permanent reward. Reward is forever from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if there are any mistakes, Allah may forgive them. Or they may go through some punishment and then after that will be taken out and will be forgiven. But if those who denied Allah completely, those who rejected the faith, this is the kufr, complete kufr. They denied Allah, they denied the way of the Prophet of Allah. Those are the people who will be punished for permanently. So permanent punishment is for them. And the permanent happiness and the reward is for those who follow the right path. Is that the answer for you?
So, I was talking about before the hisab, before the accountability, before the judgment is taken place, there's a 50,000 years time period. So, during that time, the initial phase, Allah will be very upset. What will happen to the believers during that time?
That is the time of barzakh. That is the before the day of judgment. So those who had faith, those who did the right thing, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His graciousness give them a pre-taste of that. They will feel like they will be in a comfortable place, inshallah, and then final judgment will take place. And those who have not done that, they will start seeing their difficult thing even from the grave. So there is a punishment of the grave, and there is also blessings of the grave as well. That's why you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect you from the adab al-qabr and make the qabr as rawza min riyad al-jannah. The qabr become the garden from the gardens of paradise. So that is, of course, this is a period. It looks for us thousands of years, but time is relative. What is the time concept for the people who died, who are now not in this world, who are not going through the cycle of sunrise and sunset and the days and months and years? That is for this world. But in the other world, there is a very different kind of time structure for that. Yeah. Anybody else? Yes.
It's not related to Surah Al-Fatiha, but just because it kind of makes me very disturbed the situation in India and potentially hundreds of millions of Muslims losing their citizenship, and after that potentially the basic human rights. What can we as American Muslims do meaningful other than making dua for our brothers and sisters?
Yeah.
What is there that we can do to make kind of a
This the majority of the people of India are Hindus, but there is a very large number of Muslims. Islam came to India a long time ago, and Muslims were rulers of India for almost 8 centuries, 9 centuries. Muslims are rulers of India. The Muslims and Hindus live together. Islam is spread in India. Many people accepted Islam, but Islam was not forced upon the Hindus. So Muslims and Hindus live together. But when the British came, they created tension. They wanted to make Hindus hate Muslims and Muslims hate Hindus. So communal riots started in India at that time, from that time. And then the time of independence came. At that time, Muslims were struggling for independence along with Hindus. But then they felt that maybe they will not be justice will not be done to them. So some of them opted for a separate land or for the division of India. So you have Pakistan, Bangladesh. It was all one Pakistan, but then it became Bangladesh and India. So a lot of people were in Pakistan, but still majority of Muslims remained in India. So they are in India, and then this has become the issue of tension for the Muslims of India. So there have been communal riots and all those things, but still people were living. The Indian constitution is a secular constitution. It is not based on religion. And it allows people of all faiths to live there freely. Pluralistic society, secular society, and to a great extent, India did that, follow that. Then there is a group who are very extreme nationalist, Hindu. They've been there, this party has been there, and this party came into power in 2014. And this party is known as BJP. So BJP came to power, and then there was another election, second election. In that, they also got majority. And this Bharatiya Janata Party, this Bharatiya Janata Party is the extreme nationalist party. They want to make India a Hindu nation. Indian constitution says it is a secular nation. All people are free, but they want to make India as a Hindu nation. And they have been working on that. So they created especially a problem for Muslims. And recently they came up with two bills. And these bills have been passed by the parliament, and the President of India signed that. One of the bill is called NRC, National Registry of Citizens. That means every citizen must register to prove that they are citizens of India. And they have to bring documents of their birth, the documents of their ownership of land, or something to show that they are citizens of India. They started in Assam, one state where they started. And they found that in Assam, there are 2 million people who did not have papers. You can see that. I mean, in India, most of the large number of people are illiterate. People don't keep that. Even birth record is not there. I mean, a lot of people, if you ask them, when were you born, they don't know when they were born. So, because nobody really put a register and all of these things. Nobody, a lot of people are not born in the hospital. So it is in their homes. The delivery takes place and that's it. A lot of people been living there for centuries. Their forefathers been living there, but still they have no record. So that's what happened in Assam. 2 million people were not able to produce any papers. And they found out of them, 1.4 million are Hindus. And only about 600,000 Muslims. 500,000 were Muslims. So this was a dilemma for the government. So they came up with another act, another bill. And this bill is called Citizens Amendment Bill, CAB. And what it says? It says that those people who have no papers, if they are Hindu, Buddhist, Jain, Zoroastrian, Christian, and another group, sixth group, then they will be given the citizenship if they have been in India for 5 years, except Muslims. The Muslims will not be given that. So they denied Muslims of citizenship, and that is the one that caused all this commotion. And now they are saying that this is something that started in Assam and it will be all over India. So I mean, imagine that if you don't have the papers, and a large number of people won't have the paper, they will be at the mercy of the officer. Either they will bribe them or plead them and whatever, or they will say, okay, I'm Hindu. So many people will convert to Hinduism in order to be citizens of India. And that is what has caused the anger. And the people are rising up on that, against that. They said, this is unfair. This is discriminatory. And this is going to create a lot of problems. And this, I mean, it's not easy to do the registry of citizens in India. It will take years. And what will happen to all these years? And once it is proved that you are not citizen, that means you have no property, you have no right, you are not citizens, you are persona. I mean, this like happened to the people of Rohingya. That happens. So this will be a terrible situation. And we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Muslims do not go through too much torture, too much pain from this. That's why people are afraid for themselves, for their children, that what will happen to all these millions of people. That even if they are not able to do to all people, 200 million, even if there are 10 million, 5 million, it's a big thing. Big thing. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect them. We should remember them in your dua. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار ربنا فاغفر لنا ذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه محمد وآله وأصحابه وأتباعه أجمعين برحمته